So you play piano, you
Yes.
take care of Mr. Vearnon.
Yes.
Well, you take care of each other, which I think is just absolutely fabulous. And you are doing an event this.
Yes.
How
Yes.
many tours? How many cities are you going to be?
4.
4 cities.
I'm going to start in Raleigh. Of course, got to start where I live. And that's going to be on the 14th. And the 15th is going to be in Clayton. And then I'm going to take a little break, a little bit of a breather. And then I'm going to come back on April 25th in Durham in the RTP area. And then I'm going to end everything. The culmination, the finale is going to be in Cary, North Carolina on the 29th.
Okay.
Exciting, exciting.
So the idea, yes, it is. I like that what it's called. Okay.
Do you?
Yeah, I really do. Because when I think of enough factor, the thing I want to ask, like if I just didn't know what it was about, I want to ask, okay, are we going to talk about how to know when you've had enough? Or is it going to be what to do when you know you had enough?
Ah, well, it is actually about you finding out that you are enough.
Interesting.
It's not about externals.
Okay.
I think things that happen to us externally are supposed to help us to figure out more about ourselves. And so, what is your enough factor is about your superpower.
Oh, wow.
Your relationship X factor, because a lot of people do not know what it is. They don't know what they have that attracts great love. They don't know. Nobody's ever taught them. Nobody's ever thought about it. And a lot of times, because we don't know, we come into relationships and we're not really bringing our true selves because we don't even know what part of ourselves is really us.
Wow. Okay. What
And
part
I
of it?
figured out this too, Lorinda. If you don't know what your enough factor is, then somebody else can talk you out of it, or they can give you what they think you ought to be, and you'll eat it up because you don't know.
Because you have no.
Because you don't know.
I like that. That is powerful. That is really
Mm-hmm.
powerful. It's almost like, my grandma saying, if you are not strong in what you believe, you really shouldn't be visiting a whole bunch of different churches with a whole bunch of different preachers
Yes.
saying stuff.
You'll get confused.
You'll be easily swayed because you have no roots in what you believe.
And you know what's funny? It reminds me of something that somebody said that cracked me up, but it was so true. Because I come from a Pentecostal background, a holiness Pentecostal background. And so a lot of work, our spiritual work was done on the altar because we were always repenting for something, right?
Oh, always.
So the altar, one guy was telling me, he said, I was down at the altar, my hands up. One lady is in this ear saying, hold on. The other one saying, let go. He said he didn't know what to do.
Oh, wow.
And that's the way it is when we don't know what our enough factor is.
I love that.
You just, okay, you with this man today and he says this way, so you go this way. You with this other man and he says, well, no, not that way, this way. So you go that way,
Oh.
So you got to know what it is about you. What is in your emotional relationship DNA that somebody else is waiting for. And if you don't show up, they'll never know it's you.
Wow. Okay. So let me ask you. Now, this sounds like it's a little bit of self-work.
It's going to be definitely some self-work, because I believe that before you launch into any relationship, you need to know who you are. Else, you're going through the motions, but you haven't entered the room yet. And until you enter the room, you're not relating. By virtue of the definition of relating, you've got to show up.
Okay.
So that's where we're going to start.
So there is a little bit of self-work. Now, when I think about knowing myself and figuring out who I am, that seems, on the outside, that can kind of feel a little bit like, of course I know myself because I'm with me all the time. So can you give us just the first thing that comes to your head about why you might want to, a clue that you might have that your enough factor is not apparent? Now, you just gave us one with swaying when the guy, you haven't shown up, so he doesn't recognize you because it's not you. But can you think of anything else that might give us a clue that we haven't tapped into our enough factor?
Most definitely. Because the women that this workshop is geared toward is high performing professional women. And for a lot of us, me included, our environment is geared toward performance. And so for me, for so many years of my life, love equaled performance. And I did not know how to not perform. All I knew, my whole definition was based on what I could do, what I could bring to the table. And so I thought if I cook right, if I dress right, if I say the right words, if I try to be supportive, then these are all things, but all of that is work. All of that is performing. It's roles. And so a lot of us, especially if that's the way we've been measured, that's the way we were shown love growing up, it was about your performance. If you act right, God loves you. If you act wrong, he has a problem with you. If you do your chores, you're a good girl. If you don't do your chores, so everything was so performance. Even in school, you're trying to make the A's, and not to offend any of my fair-skinned people out there, my white people, I love you very much. But in the Black culture, we were taught you got to be better. You got to be 10 times better than them to get what they have. So when you get all these kinds of messages, whether they're direct or subliminal, then that's the way you define yourself, by your performance. And so one of the most daunting things for me was I knew in my head that I need to bring me to the table. But you know what? I didn't know how not to perform. I didn't know me beyond my performance. I knew how I felt about things. I knew what I liked and I didn't like, but I didn't have a way of connecting the dots of saying, oh, this is me. And so I was like a chameleon. And the way you can tell whether you're performance oriented or you really have a clear understanding of who you are that comes from a values centered place, the way you can tell is if anybody ever challenges that, do you feel like you've got to change? When nobody is looking, even though you might defend it vehemently, when you get by yourself, do you sit back and go, well, maybe I did talk too much, or maybe I do need to change this, or, maybe he's right, or if you second guessing, then that means you have not hit the bedrock of your own value yet. And that's why I think even people that say, I know who I am, a lot of times we only know who we are as performers, as doers. But if you peeled all that away, if you took all that off, who are you? And why would a man want to spend the rest of his life with you? You need to know. You
need to know what is your enough factor. Oh my goodness, I love that. Now that reminds me of a quote that says, you are be who you are. It's something like, be who you are because all that you are is enough. All that you are is enough. Something about that enough. When we compete, it really bothers me when I see some of the videos and things where you see the girls kind of dancing in front of the guys to get their attention. And I think, gosh, if who I am doesn't really work for you and I have to do all of that, I don't know if I want to be a puppet on a string trying to get your attention in that way. And then there's a spiritual element to
Oh, yes.
those things
Oh, yes.
being enough too. So if you are squashing who you are, or I'm sure we can do not being enough or not realizing that we are enough, kind of unconsciously.
It's a lot of it is unconscious. You know, if we have to sit back and say, why do you do what you do?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you do what you do? Why does it matter so much that people think this about you?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, why does it matter? Those are the kind of questions that get through the layers of our performance
Wow.
down to the very heart. Because the thing about it that a lot of high performing women don't understand because it hasn't been modeled for them correctly is vulnerability.
Mm.
You say the word vulnerable and they automatically think weak.
Yes.
But vulnerability, Lorrinda, is the courage to be who you are 24/7.
I love that.
And we call that being comfortable in your own skin. Because you're not comfortable in your own skin part of the time.
Hmm.
When you really grasp who you truly are,
Mm.
and you start saying, you know, I like her. I like this about me. Then
Mm-hmm.
when things that you like about you, you're going to present to the world. And if you meet a guy that doesn't like it, it's not going to sway you because you're 100%. You like this, so you're not going to abandon this
Mm-hmm.
because you like it. Or in the case for those of us that have had to do a lot of self-work just to get where we are, one of the things that I think that comes often to my mind is I fought too hard to get here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I dated a very nice man, but he thought my being vulnerable, my being honest, my being forthcoming, my being real, me being unfiltered, he saw that as weak. And it was nothing that wrong with him per se. My thing was, but I fought too hard to be able to shed that performance, to shed this role and veneer and really be able to give you, I'm giving you me.
Mm-hmm. And
I
if
am
that's
giving you
not,
the best I got. And if you say that in your mind, it makes me weak, then I know we cannot continue because number one, you don't see me the way I see me. And number two, because I like me, I am not going to try to convince you to like me too if you
oh,
just not fathom it.
I love
So
that.
one thing I find about when you're in your own skin, you don't have to prove anything and you don't have to get mad with folk either.
I
Because you're
love
okay.
that. I
You're
love
just
that.
okay.
And you know, you can relate that as well to who your customers are.
Yes.
Because I'm always thinking about business and marketing, and that's kind of my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you authentically show up
Yeah.
to serve people with the gifts that you know that you have, and
Mm-hmm.
some people don't receive it or they say this or that thing about it, you have to know that what you have is valuable enough for you to continue to think that is valuable, and just realize that particular person is just not your customer. There's
And you
nothing
know,
wrong with
it's
you.
beautiful because what somebody said, and I have to shout out Dawn Nicole. One thing she said to me, because she was coaching me, and she said, Suzette, your value is what you say about you. She said, your worth is what people are willing to pay.
I
And
love
she
that.
said, you cannot control the worth, but but you don't change your value. And the first thing that came to my mind was, and I use this a lot, is that our cue?
That is our cue. Please finish your sentence.
Oh, okay. Is I often think about Michael Kors, his handbags. Michael Kors has his handbags set. The cost of his handbags are set because of the value he gives them.
Mm,
He doesn't change the value of his handbags because somebody over here thinks they're overpriced.
right.
He doesn't even try to argue with them.
Buy something else.
And that's my thing. When you know the value of who you are or what you present to the world,
Mm-hmm.
then you know that the person, you know who it is that you're giving that to, and that person will see the worth in it. those that don't see the worth in it, you bless them. And you keep it moving. You don't try to change, because you'll change. Customer A will like this about it, and customer B won't like this about it, and you find yourself crazy trying to meet customer needs. No, I place my value on what I say about it.
Yes,
trusting and believing God that somebody's going to see the value in it.
Thank you so much for saying that, and we will wrap it up with this idea that I have a Facebook page called Father Favor. And on Father Favor, the prayer is, Lord, give me the wisdom to do the thing that you put me here to do in a way that pleases you and serves the people you put me here to serve.
Yes.
So that says that you are put here to serve a particular people. And I'm not going to get upset if you're just not one of the people that I have been assigned to. And in order for us to know those things deeply and honestly and earnestly, we do have to know when our enough factor. It all starts there.
Yes. Cyber high five on that one.
Cyber high five.